Hi everyone, and welcome to my top tips to get a good score on the IELTS reading test. My name is Ben and I'm a Cambridge qualified IELTS teacher. Tip number 10 is the most important, so make sure you watch all of the video. So let's get straight into it. Tip number 1 is don't read too slowly. You have 60 minutes to read 3 passages and answer 40 questions. That's a lot of reading and a lot of questions in a short amount of time. You need to use 2 skills. The first is skim reading. Skim reading is to read quickly and get to the gist of the passage. This means getting a general idea and the meaning of the writing passage without reading every detail. For most people, this is the first thing to do. The other skill is scanning for detail. Scanning for detail is reading through the passage to answer a particular question. The question will often give you a good idea of what you are looking for in the writing. For example, it may be obvious that you are looking for a date, or a number, or a name. Let me show you an example. Look at this question. It's from an article about the oil industry and is from an actual past IELTS test. This is a one-word only answer. Many people believed Hubbert's theory was something when it was originally presented. So how would we look for the answer in the reading passage? A good idea is to look for the name Hubbert. Quickly look through the writing to find the name Hubbert. And here is the paragraph in the writing. We can see his name here. M. King Hubbert, a shell geologist of legendary status among depletion experts, forecast in 1956 that oil production in the United States would peak in the early 1970s and then slowly decline in something resembling a bell-shaped curve. At the time, his forecast was controversial. Controversial. That's the key word, and that's the answer for the question. Many people believed Hubbert's theory was controversial when it was originally presented. You see, we didn't have to read the whole passage to find one answer. I will be doing a video on reading techniques in more detail, so make sure you subscribe and hit the bell icon to be notified when I do. Tip number 2 is don't spend too long on one question. If you can't find the answer, move on to the next question. You have 60 minutes for 40 questions. That's 90 seconds per question. If you have time at the end of the test, you can always go back to any question you may have missed. Tip number 3 is time management. You will have 3 writing passages and 60 minutes. Generally speaking, the passages get a little more difficult with each one. So aim to spend around 17 minutes on passage 1, 20 minutes on passage 2, and 23 minutes on passage 3. Tip number 4. Read the instructions. I cannot emphasize this enough. Read the instructions. For some question types, there will be instructions for the maximum number of words in your answer. For example, write one word only for each answer. Write no more than 2 words. Or write no more than 3 words and or a number. Tip number 5. Use correct spelling. For most written answers, the word or words are in the reading text. There is no excuse. If you spell it wrong, it will be marked as wrong. Tip number 6. Watch out for plurals. Remember, the answer may be the plural form of the word. If you put the singular for it, it will be incorrect. Look at this example question from a recent actual test about ancient storytelling. Aristotle views Homer's works as something. The instructions have told us we are looking for one word only. The answer from the text is that Aristotle considered them landmarks, plural. But if we just put landmark in the answer, it will be marked as incorrect. Tip number 7. Ignore what you already know about the subject. If you have any knowledge of the subject of the article, forget it. You can only answer questions using information contained in the article. Don't use your own knowledge. This is especially true for yes, no or not given questions. Tip number 8. Answers usually come in order. For some question types, the answers in the text come in the same order as the questions. Look at this question type, for example, for questions 10 to 13. You'll probably find the answer to question 10 in the text before the answer to question 11, which is before the answer to question 12, and so on. Remember though, this isn't true for all question types. Paragraph labeling, for example. Tip number 9. You don't need to understand every word in the reading text. Even native speakers may not understand every word in an academic article. You may guess the meaning from the words around it, or just ignore it and move on. And finally, if you remember just one thing from this video, this is the most important. I cannot stress enough that practice makes perfect. The more practice you get, the more you will improve, the better you will be at finding that information in the writing text, at finding the answers more quickly and more easily. I have left a link in the description below to a website I use a lot with my students, with lots of practice tests that have a layout and format very similar to the actual IELTS computer-based test, and many of them are papers used from past IELTS tests. Well, that's my top tips for the IELTS reading test. If you have any more tips, please leave us a comment. I will be posting regular videos to help you with your IELTS test, so hit the like button and subscribe and press the bell icon to be notified every time I post a new video. And last of all, good luck with your IELTS. I really hope you get the score you need to achieve your dreams. Goodbye.